I could put my toothbrush on charge, actually. Nah, I don't.
What? Like, that's a priority?
Well, I just thought about it because it's been dead for a few days.
Shut up, you fucking kid. It's so obvious when you're doing that. What the fuck are you doing? No, what were you doing with your head then?
Just that.
Right.
Fuck off, mate.
Sorry. Right, come on.
Okay. Right. No, don't laugh.
Right, all good to go.
Are we in? Right, okay.
We're in. Hello again, people. Welcome back to episode 3. If any of you are new, welcome to the Shit Chat podcast. We always say from the upfront, don't get your hopes up because it's called Shit Chat. If you haven't checked any of the episodes before, I'd advise that you do that just to know the format that we go for with the podcasts. To those who are returning and have subscribed, thank you so much for doing that. We are, at the time of filming, so close to 100 subscribers, which probably doesn't seem like a massive achievement, but to us, within a matter of it being the 3rd episode, it's huge. So if you're not watching this, please click that subscribe button and like the video because it helps us out more than you think it does. Right now, we're going to get into this one. Serious one, would you say, this one?
Deep, I think.
Deep. Yeah, that's a better word for it.
Okay, yeah. So we've done 2 episodes. First one, nothing to it. Second one, quite chilled out. Funny, I guess. Maybe not.
Just relaxed, weren't it? Yeah. More.
Yeah, this one, we're going to take a slight 180-degree turn, if you like. Slight. And go a little bit deep.
Yeah. Still try and keep that natural flow, but I don't think enough people have heard us, even people that know us well, have heard us talk quite on a serious topic. We're always really relaxed with everything.
Yeah, I mean, we were basically having a conversation. If you want to know exactly what happened, we were having a conversation, and then we said, do you know what, let's just film the 3rd podcast. So here we are. The conversation was actually about dying, which is obviously a fun conversation to have.
Obviously, it's always a thing that happens. I mean, everyday basis. It's not out the norm. People die, people are born. But I think with the way the world is at the minute, it's more of a common chat because you see it on the news all the time. It's more of a recurring thing than it should be. And I think it's got to the point now where I've had conversations with people I know that mention about death.
Yeah, man. You could say it's the one guarantee in life.
Yeah.
Maybe one of a handful of guarantees in life. Taxes and all that shit. So, yeah, let's talk about it. Let's go into it because I think we have 2 very diverse, we've not really touched on it much, but from what I can tell, we have completely different ideas of what death is, what happens, and all that. So
yeah, and I think that's why we said we'd save it for this, because I think we realised when talking, I think people will find it really interesting in listening in on this, because I don't think there's an in-between with this as there is to other topics. We're very at the end of the other spectrums, and I think people watching are either really going to agree with you or really going to agree with me. And I'd love to see where it favours more towards and how people think.
Yeah. From what I've heard, most people are probably going to agree with me.
I think as much as I believe in what I believe in, a lot of logical people are going to be with you. And a lot of people who just like to believe and keep themselves a bit happy about the idea, if you can think positively about death, will side with me on it.
Sure.
But there is logical arguments for yours, as I do believe there is for mine. But at the end of the day, it's not a discussion of facts or anything. This is pure belief with what we're going to go into about death. Probably flip into other topics as we talk about it.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to start off by just saying simply, I think once you're dead, you're dead. There's nothing after. There was nothing before. There's nothing after. That's literally my opinion on it, straight up.
Straight up. If that's brief, yeah. My brief opinion on it is just step 1 of what is bound to be a bigger journey after death. I don't believe that it is just lights out after death. I think there is something. Whether we know what that is, we're only going to find out at the end of when we're meant to. But I do genuinely believe this isn't just it. Right. Do you have a bit of... Go into more detail about yours then. Do you really believe that it's just nothing? Or do you believe in reincarnation that will come back in a different life? Like, what? I don't understand.
Nah, you're gone. I just think that's it. You die, you're dead. You're just gone. I don't think there's any two ways about it. I don't... People always say, all right, and this is... People don't know the answer, right? That's the point. Or they don't think they know the answer, right? And they say, well, they can't possibly be nothing. I say, well, how long's we been about? Like, how long's the Earth been about? Like, fucking
Billions
13
years, isn't it? Yeah.
billion years or something. There was nothing then, right? You're this tiny, tiny, tiny part of this time frame, whatever, this scale. I do like to dabble into certain things, and I find things quite interesting. And don't get me wrong, I'd like there to be something after I die. It's not like I want there to be nothing.
Yeah.
But to me, it's just, you're just a person and you have your life cycle and then you're dead.
In a way, though, in terms of, like... Obviously, I'll go into detail with mine as well, because I do want to back my argument up. Not against yours, but I want us to finish this and have an insight into each other's, if anything. Does that make you feel more comfortable with the idea of death, though? In a way. Sort of having that mindset on it. Because, if anything, that's... In a way, I do feel like I have mind, one, because I do believe in it, but two, it does just make me more comfortable with the idea of death, and I'm not scared of it.
I'm not scared of it at all.
No.
I think... To say I'm interested is probably quite wrong, because I don't want to die, but inevitably I'm going to die.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Point,
interested is the wrong
hopefully,
word, but it's just... It's mad that there's no way out of it. It is what it is, isn't it?
That's the thing, I'm not scared of it, just simply on the thought of there was billions of years before us, and that was fine. In fact, that was quite cushy. That was probably better than this bit. So, I don't mind going back to that.
That's mad.
Fine.
I believe that... I'm a true believer in this, and a lot of people I know can shut it down and just say you're talking fucking rubbish, but I do believe in the idea of us as an entity here physically, how we are in this universe, galaxy, whatever you want to fucking call it, and there being a separate conscious being. I do really believe that. I know people believe in your mind and your body. I think there honestly is your mind, your body, and your consciousness. And it's your consciousness that's going to move on after death and go somewhere. I do really believe in that. And I know there's not a lot of, like there is with a lot of things, scientific evidence and fact behind it. It is pure belief. But there just has to be something.
But go where? Do you have any idea? Do you have any like thoughts on it or theories at all?
Yeah,
or do you just
I mean,
like to kind of believe that.
I don't want to say that it's still going to be around where we are now, because I mean, there's this whole theory of alternate timelines and the universe being infinite, no start, no end. It's just infinite. So I feel like when you do die, you find out a gateway between that, because there's people. As true or false as it might be, that say they've had out-of-body experiences and stuff like that, but they've noticed the littlest differences that they know it isn't this world they're in. For example, the infinite realities are fucking unbelievable. In a universe somewhere we've stopped recording now, in a universe somewhere you've spoke over me already, in a universe somewhere I have these curtains open. It's endless, and I think there's got to be a gateway through to that. And I just think of life now. I said this to you during the conversation. I said I wanted to save it for this. I feel like we're here for a purpose, to learn a specific lesson. If you don't learn that lesson, you come back. Once you have learnt it, sort of like it sounds stupid, but sort of like a video game. When you've completed it, you move on to the next stage of what is meant to be a fucking long journey with your consciousness. Where that dwells from, I have no idea.
Do you believe in spirituality then?
Yeah.
You're not a religious person, are you? You don't believe in God.
No, yeah. I don't believe in God. I don't like to believe that there's a higher entity, but no one knows, do they? But I hate the whole... There's certain terms that I hate with my beliefs. I hate the term God, and I hate the term ghosts. I don't like the term ghosts. I believe in the idea of spirits lingering and that, just from experiences that my family have said they had, and what I believe to be a reality of when I was younger, rather than people believe it's your mind playing tricks. I do believe I've genuinely just experienced something. But I don't like the terms that people put on it and specifically name it something like a ghost. I don't appreciate that. And the same with God. It's just such a derogatory term. I hate that word.
I like the idea of God.
Yeah, but I don't know how you can...
I like the
surely
idea.
You believe, like the idea of God, but the fact that you think it's just blank after...
Oh, there's no such thing, in my personal opinion. In fact, it's scientific. There isn't a God. No one made... Some bloke didn't turn up and make the Earth and all that rubbish, and Noah didn't save 2 of every species, because you wouldn't be able to fit on a boat for one. I don't believe in it for a second. I think it's absolute garbage. It was just literally a gate filler before science came along.
Yeah.
Or before, the study of science come along. But I like the idea of it. I like that people find comfort in that.
Yeah.
And,
but I do believe as well, like, it's the whole thing of... There was a guy on a TED Talk. If people don't know what TED Talks is, there's a channel on YouTube called TED. And it is like a stand-up comedian type scenario with a crowd and one person. They get multiple different people on, scientists, comedians, motivational speakers, any. And one guy made an interesting point in terms of, he's a neuroscientist, is it, or something? His name's Anil Seth, if I've got that right. And an interesting thing about science is they're all so familiar with one thing, but it forever will remain a mystery, and that's your consciousness. You can never experiment on it or get feedback on it. It's just a thing, but you can't test on it. It's so familiar yet so unknown. And he used an example of, he remembers going into an operation for anaesthetic, being put down on anaesthetic for it. And it's weird how your body can just go from being conscious to an object, and your consciousness can come back again. How can your body just have that temporary just shut down while they work on you? And you're just gone. Because he says, in terms of sleeping, you can wake up and think, have a sense of time still, and think, oh, fuck, I've overslept. Or, God, this is early still. When you go under an anaesthetic, you could be down for 1 minute or 1 year. You have no idea how long you've been gone for. But you're aware that you have just paused. And it's just strange how you can go through that. There's got to be something more to it.
There's a very interesting theory that I believe in. I'll get onto it in a second, because I want to just stay a little bit relevant. And although I don't believe there is any real meaning to life, I believe that we as people are here for one reason, and genuinely that reason is to breed life to AI. I believe that we are, especially in this generation now, we are here to breed life to that AI, because it's just going to take over in the next probably like 100 years. Maybe scary. Not even that. Like, it is a bit scary, and I'm not like any kind of expert on it at all. So, I'm only really going to touch on it a bit, but I do believe that is our one purpose here.
Yeah, definitely. But I found interesting what you said as well, in terms of the only thing that I felt like you had strong against you, because I remember saying that I don't want death to be meaningless because I don't think life is meaningless. I feel like I am me for a specific reason. There's a reason that I am myself and nobody else, and I'm here to do something. Where it's not going to be a world-changing thing, but I'm just here for a specific reason. Whereas you did make a good point of, our lifespan's only 80 years. The world's been around for billions of years. What is it that we're going to do in them 80 years that is so important? And I kind of understood that. I did get my head around that after we spoke.
I don't want to shit on your beliefs or anything. I just like to challenge it a bit, because what you said to me earlier was that you believe that you are here for some specific reason to make a difference. So you kind of believe that there's a reason that you are here,
100%,
which is to do something. And if that was the case, then every single person in the world would be here to do something. And 99.999 recurring percent of people, should I say, have been here and done nothing.
Yeah.
Like, how many people in history are so vitally important to where we are now? Like, could you count on 2 hands, probably?
Yeah, when you put them into a percentage of not just the population now, but the population of whatever has been. Yeah, I agree. It's not even like 0.1%, is it? Yeah, I do understand that.
Yeah.
And it was a very good counter-argument, I thought, to what I said, because it wasn't that you were shutting it down. You were just bringing me into your idea and understanding it as to how it could be.
I think people like to believe it, and I think that's because if you knew 100% that if tomorrow they came out and I don't know, they found out that there is nothing, you literally die and then there's nothing forever, people are going mental. I genuinely, people would go mental because if you think about it, if you look at our lives perspective, I get up every morning, go to work for 9 o'clock, work 9 to 5, go see my mates in the evening, and then eventually you lose their mates, eventually you lose that job, you get a new job, you get new friends, and that's like a cycle that just goes round until you die.
Yeah.
And then you're gone, and everything with you is gone. And eventually then your family will die, and everything that you did was so pointless. And I don't mean that in a depressive way, because people, when I've had this conversation with people, they say, oh, you're so morbid, you're so depressing. I'm like, I'm not at all. I don't think there's any point in what we do. But apart from to just enjoy ourselves, I think that's kind of the point. And on some kind of scratching the level surface, that's another reason why we kind of did this podcast, because I think you don't want to fucking sit around and when you're 80, whatever, dying and think, I didn't do anything. I know it's just a podcast, that maybe sounds a little bit deep, but it's a combination of all them things that you do that kind of means that you'll never actually regret anything. I'm probably just waffling, talking shit.
No, I get that, because when people say it sounds morbid, I thought the opposite. I thought the way you feel about you're here and then you're done, it's a matter of 80 years, you wait, you die, it's done. I feel like it just makes you put yourself in the mindset of, if I lose a job, who fucking cares? It's not that deep. If I fall out with my friend or I split up with my girlfriend, who actually cares? It doesn't mean anything. And I think rather than depressing you and making you sit staring at your ceiling thinking, why am I bothering? It makes you just think, fuck it, let's enjoy the time while I'm here. And I think, I know I'm sure of this, you found it quite weird of my beliefs and versions of how I think death will be, when I'm exactly the same as you in the manner of, I have no regrets and I don't care really. So it's weird to think that I care that much about there being something after. I do think that with myself sometimes. It is strange when my mindsets on two topics couldn't be further apart, which is mad.
I think the idea of there being nothing isn't morbid, it's quite the opposite.
Oh, 100%.
I think it's such a good thing because you're here, do whatever you want. Okay, don't kill somebody and ruin somebody else's
There's limits, there's limits. Yeah.
Sure, yeah. But there's what's holding you back. I don't fall out with people. I don't really hold grudges against people. I'm not interested in it because in the scale of the world, really, it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah. And
I've always been like that. The little things don't matter. If I was made redundant tomorrow, it wouldn't matter.
Life's going
to go on.
Yeah. In the pure spectrum of the universe, it's not that deep. And I know people will think it is in the terms of the way the world's functioning, in terms of money has suddenly become this important thing. But in the aspect of life and death, it's just a material. That's all it is. And I don't think you should ever get yourself that fucking stressed and wound up about something that really, when you think about it, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
I think I like the idea of certain things. Like, one thing that I really like the idea of, or I find really interesting, is the simulation theory. Of the idea that none of this is actually real. Like, it's kind of hard to explain, and again, I don't know loads about it, but if you look at like the universe, for example, the universe is infinite. There's no end to it. There's no start. There's no end. It's just infinite, and it never ends, and it's constantly growing and growing and growing. To where? Like, what's that contained within? Do you know what I mean? Like a game of Sims, for example, right? This is just really, really dumbing it down, and it sounds a bit stupid, but a game of Sims, that world expands, right? And you're making it bigger and bigger and bigger inside of a hard drive. Like, it's just data within inside of a hard drive. And I like the idea that none of this is actually real. None of it's real at all. And it kind of makes sense. Some of it makes sense. Some of it makes no sense at all. And some of it's absolute fucking garbage.
Yeah.
But I really like the idea of it. I don't know if you ever really looked into it much.
Well, to be fair, I'm going to say that now. There's a theory I'm going to go into, and this theory, I'll leave links in the description to videos if you want to look more into this, because when we did discuss this a little bit, you did just tell me about this theory, and you said before you come into the podcast, just have a watch. And I did watch a specific video, and it is really interesting how they talk about it and the backups that they do have in terms of technology has become this thing where we're at a point now where there is no standstill. It's constantly adapting and changing with the way that we now have processors, and we found out that something as simple as silicon can just contain information. And they reckon we could get to a point where, imagine if you could create something where there's people testing the black hole theory and scientists. Imagine if you could build something that contains a universe and you can have a bit of control over it. If that's a possibility, what's that not to say that that's already happened to us? And that's what we are. Just a contained universe in a device where people are just, like you said, it's just simulated. That's what baffled me when someone said, this is a possibility. And you go, yeah. And they go, well, how can that have not already happened? And you think, oh, okay, yeah, that's quite interesting, actually.
There's obviously technology around us that we can't quite yet see or grasp. That's kind of part of that theory. Right, in fact, it is really.
Well, it is, like I said about the silicon.
Simulation.
Years ago, they knew what... They found this fucking... Whatever it is, it's somewhat the periodic edit, and they just got a name for it. We then, years later, got the understanding that, wait, it can contain data. And that blows my mind. I can't believe that the human brain can even fucking comprehend that idea. That's crazy. But it is true. Like, there's probably stuff around now that we're not even getting into 10% of, but someone in the future will figure it out. And it's just going to change everything.
Yeah. I mean, that inevitably would extend beyond death, but, you know, I don't really know what that the kind of idea of that side is, but I find it really interesting. And when I first heard about it, I thought that sounds stupid, because I thought, well, what are you trying to say? There's some bloke sat behind a computer just controlling us all? It isn't that. It's just the idea that none of this is actually real, and everything about us is incredible. Like the way that our world is the climate is perfectly suited to us. Like, okay, evolution explains that, but is that even a real thing? You know what I mean? That's part of this whole simulation thing. That everything's so perfect for us, and the way that the human body is mental. The way that you grow within somebody, and then you come out, you're not even fully developed, and then you carry on developing, and you become unbelievable in consciousness and stuff. It's like you said earlier, like the idea that your consciousness can switch on and switch off, like if you're under anaesthetic or something. How is it even possible that we can do that?
Yeah, it blows my mind, that does. It really does. Because it does scare me in terms of when he did think about that. I think if we didn't have our chat, I would have thought, yeah, that's a great thought. But then the fact that your argument is that there is nothing goes well, because when your consciousness switches off in anaesthetic, it is blank. You can't remember anything. But is that because your consciousness comes back and your mind's filtering stuff? Because one thing that really made me sit on it more in terms of the idea of your consciousness passing on and the way the world is, there's a thing called, if I get this right, I'll have to overlay it if not, biocentrism. And there's a specific doctor, Robert Kanzer, and he has this theory, and it is just called the theory of everything. And there's this whole thing that
welcome
says...
Robert Kanzer!
Yeah, I bring him in the room. And then there's this whole thing of, rather than the universe creating life itself is creating the universe. And it's weird. It sounds really weird, and I'll only briefly go over it. But like I said, I'll leave a link in the description. The detail he goes into in it is fascinating. Unbelievable. And it's the whole idea of something as simple as if scientists have said, if you put an article and 2 holes in a specific container, when you watch them particles, they'll only go through 1 hole at a time. Like a bullet would shoot through 1 hole, go out the other. When you're not watching it, it's like a form of water and it waves through both holes and that. Why is that even a possibility when we're not seeing it? And it's the whole thing that your consciousness built into your mind is like a filter for everything that we see. They reckon that we can only access about, is it 20% of our brain or something like that? They reckon if we could access that full potential, it'd scare us. Because really, that's just your consciousness taking over. And it's quite scary in terms of, I think being aware of it is, knowing your consciousness is a separate thing is quite dangerous, because I feel like people experience it more in terms of it can take over with mental health illnesses. You feel more pain, you feel more suffering. But the way he goes into it, because I think there's a difference between having a theory and having a theory and why you really believe that. Like me, like the people who say the Earth is flat. Why? It just is. Right. Well, that's just fucking mental.
I was just thinking about
the
that.
Earth is flat because of this and this and this. There's more of an argument behind it, and that's when people get the groups behind them and get people thinking about it. Rather than just saying, I believe this, it's saying, I believe this because of this. And actually developing.
Well, the world is obviously flat. It is obviously flat.
I don't like to get into it because...
I'm joking. I don't believe
I wondered if you did then. In the back
all.
of my mind, I was thinking, really? I wouldn't put this on you.
I don't really believe anything, truth be told.
No.
Like, I'm not saying I believe in, like, the simulation. I just like it.
It is clever, because like, same with the simulation, the detail they have in it is fucking unbelievable.
It's the way that we're all, like, linked as well. Do you know that feeling you get, right? So you're sat at your desk and somebody stands behind you, and you know they're behind you, but you don't know they're behind you. You can almost, like, get that sixth sense that someone is behind you, even if they're not right behind you. If they're quite far behind you, you know they're stood there, and you can tell when they walk off as well. It's them weird senses like that just are so bizarre, and it doesn't really make any sense.
Yeah, and it's typical things like deja vus as well. I mean, how is that even a thing? And you can never pinpoint the reason behind that. A deja vu
freaks me out.
Yeah, there's really scary theories about one that really, if anything about death scares me, this theory does. And this is just a crazy theory someone made. There's no like evidence behind it or anything, but the way they say when you die, your life flashes before your eyes. That's what moments of deja vu are. It's your brain getting a bit confused and it's flicking back to those times and you feel a bit strange. That scares the fuck out of me. When I have one now, I can't help but think of that, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm dying. My brain gets all fucking confused.
They have done a lot of experimenting into that, and they do believe that they know exactly what that life flash before your eyes actually is. Because there was a guy, and this is kind of where it came from, and he was, I don't know whether he was drowning or he was swimming. Okay, so he was swimming and he was getting attacked by a shark, or a shark was attacking him, and it was like proper fucking him up, obviously, like a shark would. And his life flashed, like did that thing where just before you die, your life flashes. And he suddenly remembered this documentary that he watched like 5 or 10 years before, where they said that if you're ever getting attacked by a shark, you need to punch it in its gills and it'll get off you. And he suddenly remembered it and he did it. And they reckon that the idea or what they believe that is, although they will never be able to actually fully know, is they believe that your brain stores every single thing it ever picks up. Everything it sees, everything it hears. And then when you're about to die, it flashes through every single piece of information, every single thing you've ever seen or heard, to find an answer, until that cog clicks and it goes, right, you need to do this.
That's correct. That's weird if that is a thing.
And that's like, you don't know that, but it was weird that he said he had that flash and suddenly it stopped and he remembered this documentary and he could hear it and remember it so vividly. And he never even remembered about this documentary before. It's just some shit that he watched.
I think the scientific argument behind it is probably that if you are dying and your brain realises it is shutting down, it's probably just throwing every impulse, every fucking electric thing that it can, and it's just overriding, and that's when your life does flash. That's probably the scientific argument behind it. But the fact that people do have stories like that's fascinating, I think. And like I said, it just puts the thing on that I'm not scared of death. And I think I've had this chat with many people sometimes that I already know that I will get to a point when I'm older, when I'm at a certain age and I'll start losing the ability for certain stuff, I will be ready for it. And it's not like I'm excited for it or interested, I'll just accept it. I think I just will. Say I'm 75, 80 and I'm not healthy and I'm losing a bit of my mind, I need people to help me walk, I will accept the idea of it then and be like, you know what, I feel like it is my time.
I think a vast majority of old people, I wouldn't say all of them, but a vast majority of them do. I've known people, like old people that are over the age of 90. Some of them are still very fit and healthy, but they do say, like, I've had enough. Like, it's difficult getting up and down the stairs and stuff, and you've lived for 90 years. Like, I've lived for 22 years, and it's been fucking long. I can't be arsed anymore. Imagine 90.
Yeah, it is
And
mad.
I think, like, kind of going back to death a little bit, I mean, obviously, look, it's sad when someone dies. But when somebody that's, let's say, like, I don't know, your grandma, for example, your grandma, your granddad die. Of course, it's sad, right? I don't really have a very close relationship with any grandparents, so I guess I'm not the best person to empathise with this.
Yeah.
But it is the circle of life. Like, the idea is that you're born and you bury your parents, but obviously at some point before that you'll bury your grandparents, and it's sad, but that's the way life should be. And I think that people should, although it's hard to deal with, you should just be able to accept that and understand that.
Yeah,
that is just the cycle of how it should be. You should be doing that. Like, they shouldn't be burying you. That's sad. And okay, you're not going to be there to experience it, but that's when it's sad. If somebody young dies, and we all know someone, everyone knows someone that was young that died. Whatever,
yeah, definitely.
Especially these days. That's sad. And of course, I mean, like, I'm not taking away from the fact that when old people die, it is still sad, but it is the circle of life. And I think we should always accept that.
I know me and my family live behind the whole philosophy. It can be difficult to explain to people that are going through stuff like that, death, loved ones being lost the way they have died sometimes. I'm a true believer in that everything happens for a reason. I'm not saying it's a specific reason straight away, but something bad happens now, one day it will make sense as to why it happened. It just will. And it's hard when you go through times like death, and I've seen people go through depression and that. I've heard about people dying way too young in horrible circumstances. But there's a reason for it, and you will learn one day why. You will. And that's why I'm a believer in the life after death, and there is something after, because maybe then will be the reason you learn why. There's something after this that's going to teach you a lot, and it's going to open your mind to everything. Or your consciousness. There really is.
Yeah.
And it's hard when I know someone and people, I know quite a few, it's actually quite scary. Quite a few people that have lost loved ones lately. And it's not going to be clear to you now. It is sad. The only things I will say is, one, it should never be shocking, because death is an inevitable thing. And it's not something that's just naturally coursed out on a specific timeline. It can just creep up on you like that. Right now, this roof could just fall in on me and I could just die right now. It's not guaranteed that I'm going to die at 80. I could die now, next week, 80 years. It's just an inevitable thing. And when you can get your head around the idea of death and have your own thoughts, written beliefs, it makes it a lot easier to accept with other people. At the end of the day, if I knew someone now, say my family, that died, you are going to be sad, of course you are. I'd probably cry for a day or two, I would. But they would not want you mourning them and just spending your life figuring it out. It's an inevitable thing, and when you do get your head around it, you will accept the idea of it. And I think it doesn't... Yeah. If someone dies, like I've had people die in my life, you never let go of it. You never do. It's always there. You just learn to utilise it and move forward with it in your own life, I think. And that's what I tried to explain to someone before. They said, I don't know how to get over this. I said, there's no such thing. You will not get over death. You just learn to control it and the thought of it and use it as a positive in the weirdest way possible. You do.
Yeah, well, it is a lesson. I mean, that's kind of like the idea of pets and stuff. Like, the idea of having a dog and stuff is so that when you grow up as a kid, you learn companionship and you learn responsibilities and you learn death as well.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, like, definitely.
That's like, I mean, I had a dog when I was a kid and that died, and it was heartbreaking for a couple of days, and then it's like, okay, life goes on. Whatever.
I think you learn you learn that your life still carries on. It's not like your life's just shut, is it? Yeah, definitely.
And I've not really lost in my life family members. My granddad died, but I was so young I don't remember it. My uncle died, but I don't think I'd ever fucking spoke to the bloke, really. So I've not really lost family members.
Yeah.
I could be really insulting someone right there that I've just forgotten.
No, well, I'm thinking about what I said as well. I understand there's arguments with my whole theory, and I just think it because there's certain experiences in my family that make me think the everything's a reason. I'll go into that in a sec. Whether it's true or not, whether it is true or it's something that's been told for me to make me understand it more. I understand in terms of when suicide happens and when stuff like that happens. Surely there isn't a reason behind that. There can't be. That's when it gets confusing, and I've experienced lost a friend through that. And I remember really crying about it, more than I have if my granddad died, God rest his soul. But they said, we didn't realise you were that close to him. I said, it's not even that.
God.
I said, it's the circumstances of it that make it hard to accept it. Because I'm a full believer in everything's happening for a reason. What is the reason behind something like that? It's the fact your mind can be pushed to that extreme to do something like that to yourself is very scary.
It's quite a common thing, isn't it? It's sad. I've not lost like anyone directly, but I know of people that have obviously done it. You know, we saw it even when we were in school, like, and it is mental, like, and it's. I mean, I don't believe there's any theory to life, but I could not take my own life.
I couldn't know. I think it's hard to say, like, people watch this will be like, yeah, you never know. I genuinely believe I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. No.
I don't think I'd ever be at the point where I'd want to do it.
No.
Like, I'm rarely ever even sad. Like, so I have to force myself to be sad sometimes to make sure I'm not bottling stuff up. So I don't think I'd ever be in that position, and I'm very privileged in that sense because it is horrible, and I've seen it firsthand. I've seen people dealing with that kind of shit, and it's hard to deal with because there's no reason for it.
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason why you're in it, and there's no way to fix it. But
I know it's targeted to be a good thing, but I hate the way some people handle mental health and that. I never say it and I never express it online, but I'm fully against the whole slogan, it's okay not to be okay. No, it's not. It's okay to accept that you're not okay, but it's then your responsibility and the people who are around you have felt that to get you back on that right track and help you. It's not okay. It's okay to not be okay, right? It's okay to accept that you're not okay. Once you have done that, and you can say, look, I am fucked. Help them then. Push them in that direction. And I only feel this because I've had a family member who, they had this thing called manic depression, and it was quite scary because I never understood it when I was younger. And it's only as I've got older now that once they've been more comfortable with it and found out what it was, that they can talk about it. And mental health is one of these things that, from their experience, they said, you can never understand it until you've been through it yourself. And even when you've been through it yourself, you go through it in your own way. And it's very weird. In terms of, you break your leg, you know how to treat a broken leg, don't you? And I always relate to, when you're in school, if you go in with a cast on your leg, your PE teacher won't make you run. If you're in an English class and you say you're scared to talk, you're just scared. You'll get over it. There is such a thing as your mind can get ill, and it can be a bit fractured, I think. But that's not saying that it can't be repaired like your leg can. A broken leg ain't broken forever. It can be repaired. But like your mind can. I do feel like there'll probably be times in our lives where we are so fucking good. I really believe our mindsets are fantastic. I've not felt depression at any point, anxiety. I'm really good. Obviously, you get nervous and stuff like that, but I'll never throw the term anxiety on it straight away. I just get nervous sometimes and upset in my own way.
I get a bit nervous. Anxieties, I don't really know off the top of my head. Insecurities, maybe a little bit, but in terms of going back to that kind of slogan that you're talking about, it's okay not to be okay. That does mean essentially what you're saying is it's okay to accept it. It's just an easy slogan to remember. It's one.
Yeah, it's just when I read it sometimes I just think, I don't know why I don't like it. I don't know why I don't.
The problem that you've got these days is people are easy to just jump on this depression bandwagon. And I don't want to offend anyone, so I'll explain what I mean by that. Is that there is real depression, right? Like proper, like wanting to just end it all. And then there's people that are just a bit sad, or they might have lost a family member who are just a bit sad or stuck in a rut because of something. They're so different, and it's just, you know, the term like, oh, I'm so depressed today. Like, okay, people don't mean anything by it, but it is dangerous language.
You can't just throw a word like that around willy-nilly, can you? And I know people that have been like that when they have just had a bad day at work, they go, God, I'm depressed. You're not. You're fed up. There's a big difference. Because
But you kind of... There's that line now that you can't cross of... You can't really call somebody out for it. Or you can, of course you can. But the worry is that you don't actually know what these people are dealing with, and people are very easy to just throw out the mental health card all the time.
Yeah, and it's to those people who do that. I'm not saying that you're a prick for doing it, but just take a second to think before you do it. And because you might not realise it is that big of a deal, but to some people it really is. It is that.
It's like, I saw a tweet earlier about Boris Johnson and how terribly he's handled all this shit. I'm not getting political, this is just an example. And somebody tweeted saying, this poor man, think about his mental health, you know, all this crap because everyone's on his back. And I think, no, in this situation, no, not at all. He's a prime minister. It's his job to handle this kind of pressure, and he's fucked it up. People have to take responsibility. And that's the thing, like, it can be used as a card to just get out of responsibility all the time. You have to take responsibility for things in your own actions.
And I think it's that sort of job as well. People go into that job knowing that they're going to get backlash and people saying horrible things about them. So you do genuinely just get people who really do have a strong mindset to contain it and know they can.
Yeah, answer to that is let's not have a prime minister.
Yeah, literally think a bit different.
Yeah,
I think it's good for us as well, the way we are with lads in our group, and that is we've always got good mindsets in that, because I'm a full believer in this thing of, like, you don't have to act manly all the time. Like, when we talk about stuff and we say to the lads, like, look, if you have to cry, just get it out. You don't look weak for crying. Yeah. It's just a temporary thing that you've got to do to get it out of your system. And we've always been like that. I think you've never been to be afraid to cry in front of me, and I'm never afraid to cry in front of you. And you need that. You just need people that you can go to and just cry, and then you're done.
Yeah, I like to get them emotions out and stuff as well. It's that kind of the kind of ask twice thing. So you ask someone if they're okay, and they go, "Yeah, I'm sound," and then you go, "Are you actually okay?" And I've actually learned from first-hand experience, asking like actual lads as well, that often if you say you're all right, they'll go, yeah, I'm sound, and you go, you sure you're all right? And they'll go,
and it comes out.
Actually, no.
Well, I think I remember when the specific phone call with you, when I said, "How you doing, man?" And I heard you just go, "Yeah," and then I went, "Are you sure?" And it just flicked it. And it is just asking that second time. I think that would be a good slogan. Ask twice. Always ask someone twice how they are. It's not fine to just go. We'll make that my slogan.
He thinks he's made history here. Fucking hell. Get that on a billboard.
Fuck you. No, that is a good point. No, that is just a really good point, though. Just always ask someone twice. And it's a weird topic, it is. I don't think... It's easy for us to talk about it and be like, oh, there is ways around it, because we are in that good mindset. But people who aren't, it must be difficult to really understand it. Definitely.
Yeah, it is hard.
And I don't know why. I can't explain. Like, people's... It's hard. I'm quite guilty for this, I will admit it at times. And it's took me doing it once to learn that you shouldn't do it. There's a whole thing about when people are depressed and that, they never speak up about it. And you know the people that are depressed because they never really talk, and they're always the happiest people and that. But then again, we're like the happiest people, but people probably go, oh my God, they're probably depressed. We're not. We're really not, I promise you. I fucking love my life. I really do. But then when people finally speak up,
really, but...
when people finally speak up and go, I think I'm depressed, you go, come on, don't throw that word around, don't do that. Why? And then by the time they do speak out, they've been attacked for it, and they think, oh God, why have I done that? And I have been quite guilty for that. When people finally do feel like they're ready to come out and say, I think I'm depressed, because people have done it, I go, look, don't just throw that word around willy-nilly, you've got to be sure about that. And it probably just throws them back 5 steps to where they were. And there's times where I have sat there and thought, fuck, I'm guilty for that at times. And to anyone, if I ever have done that to anyone, fucking, I am really sorry. But this is why it's such a difficult thing for someone to just overcome and get over.
We are in, and this is something that I always say to people, is that right now it's huge in it. Like, the mental health stigma is absolutely massive.
Within the last 4 years. I mean, it's always been a thing, but it's how much it is talked about in the campaigns against it.
Yeah, but that's because of the huge differences that have happened in the last 20 years. Like, 20 years ago, there wasn't social media. You didn't have the opportunity to take the piss out of someone, cyberbully people, and life's changed so much, and there's so many more pressures on life now that we're within that generation of you can either do it or you can't do it. And that's come about so quickly that there isn't that kind of support there and stuff, and there's not really much of an understanding behind it. But future generations, it's going to be like, it's almost going to become the norm, and you'll be able to deal with it.
Yeah, we're in that sort of tangent at the minute, aren't we, where we have experienced life without it, but then it's suddenly becoming, we know it's going to become everything for the future generations. Like you said, it's just going to be the normal. But for us, we're on that weird tangent where it's not really. We understand it, of course we do, but our parents don't understand it. Grandparents ain't got a clue, whereas the 2 generations on, everybody will know what it is and everybody will know how it operates. Whereas you get people that really don't.
Yeah.
And it's hard for, say, people our age who are experiencing depression through social media and online. How are you meant to emphasise that across to your parents who don't understand the format of it, and how it's not just a matter of you call someone and you intimidate them. Everybody's online. Everybody's online, and you get attacked from everywhere. And it's hard to put that across to them and get them to understand it. I can get that. Let us know as well. Please comment below or drop us a message. We are going to do an episode one day on social media, because I think people would like our opinions on social media and how we feel the way people use it when they shouldn't, and why it's become such a big thing. You are?
And OnlyFans.
Yeah,
we'll
do an episode on social media and OnlyFans, because our opinion on that's interesting. The only thing I will say about social media and that is, I think it's mad the way you can just see where everyone is. That's unhealthy. If anyone checks where their friends are and shit, don't. It's fucking weird.
I think it must be mad to be a celebrity, like, because of the shit that celebrities get on there is mental. Like even like the most, like, for example, Ricky Gervais, I follow her on Twitter, and I remember scrolling through the replies to one of his tweets, and even he gets so much abuse. Like, you know, like off the top of your head, like Caroline Flack, obviously she took her own life because of the amount of shit she was getting because of all that stuff with her partner. I don't know what happened.
Yeah,
like it must be so hard to deal with it, because could you imagine putting a post on? Could you imagine if we put a video on, and every video we got thousands of people just putting, you know, whatever.
Yeah, horrible, just
proper,
horrible
like,
shit.
Pointing out your flaws, being like, no wonder people struggle with it. But I think you're either cut out for it or you aren't. Like, we have people probably think, oh, you know, they're probably depressed deep down, but we have such strong mindsets, like crazy strong mindsets, and I feel like personally, because, you know, when I was younger, obviously my parents split up and stuff, and I kind of experienced that, like, a joke about it saying broken families and all that bollocks, but I kind of experienced that tough upbringing in a sense.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we weren't fucking so poor that we're living on the streets, but, you know, we weren't exactly a well-off family, and
yeah, and the struggles, hadn't they? Yeah, definitely.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, and I think I didn't grow up in any kind of privilege, and that can also really affect someone.
Mine is, I think life experiences have made mine strong. Mine is, honestly, because my theories of the whole consciousness in your mind thing, I feel like I just understand my mind. I really do feel like I've got a good relationship with my mentality, because I do believe, like I said, the separation between your mind and your consciousness. I feel like it just makes me healthy up there. And as I've learned over the years to look into it more and know I'm not the only one who feels like that, and has an understanding of that being an entity in yourself, it's made me just feel safe in myself. Whereas I know a lot of people don't feel safe in their mind. I do. And like I said, when I talk to myself, I do feel like it is something in me. It sounds psychotic, it does, but I do feel like there's a bit of a split in me, in terms of my mind's talking to my consciousness is talking to my mind.
Yeah, but there is a pattern in people, that the people that do talk to themselves, and honestly, I've realised this, people that I know that openly admit they talk to themselves, at least, okay, but we'll assume that they're the only people that actually talk to themselves, tend to be the strongest people.
Yeah, like, I agree with that.
I literally talk to myself.
Oh, when we say we talk to ourselves, it's not a matter of like, you go, shall I do this? Yeah, it's a full. I spend one day a week. It doesn't matter who it is. Like, if I feel bad if they are watching this, my mum, my sister, my girlfriend, if I had one, friends, I have to have a day where I switch off from everyone.
He doesn't have a girlfriend, either.
No, I'm like this one. I have to have a day where I put my phone on airplane mode and I just switch away from everyone to talk to myself for the day. It sounds insane, but it keeps me sane, if anything. If I didn't have that day in a week, I'd go mental. I would. And I've learned that over time. When I was a kid at school, I never did it. And I was a very aggy, how I get angry sometimes that you've experienced, and I am learning to control that more and understand that side of me, and hopefully I'll get to a point where I don't. But when I was younger at school, that was me all the time, and it was horrible. But I never had this understanding in my mind about it. Once I started learning about it, I've learned to control it and put a bit of a lid on it. Obviously, there's times where I flip and I just do shit that I don't mean, and I sit on it after, and that is when I talk to myself and I go, Harry, what are you doing? I did this, why have you done that? And you have a conversation with yourself. It's mental. But I never had that when I was a kid. I never had the day to myself.
You've got to do that balance, haven't you?
You are.
You've got to have that balance. Like
100%.
I do talk to myself when I deal with things. But sometimes I'll kind of reflect on something that happened, and I'll think, has that upset me? And that there'll be times. There's been loads of times where I've like called you randomly just to chat about something. Like, it's not even a sense of I call you and go, fucking hell, I'm really sad. I just call you to talk about shit. And we'll chat shit after that for an hour or two, which is how this actually came about.
Yeah.
And that just helps so much. And a lot of people aren't privileged enough to have that kind of mate or to have a partner like that. Or
yeah, because it's weird with us, because how we openly talked about talking to ourselves and understanding our mindsets are really similar. I don't see it as a weird thing when you do just call me out of the blue and talk about something random. I understand it, if anything. So you just go with the flow of it. And like you said, it is lucky that we've got each other for that. And I think there's a few lads in our group that are like that as well. But I feel like you know who you're more reliant on to do it.
Yeah, I kind of feel like I have to talk to me, because I don't have that. I am close to my mum, but I don't really have that relationship to some extent. Like, there's things that I talk to you about that I wouldn't talk to my mum about. Some people are really close to their parents.
I tell my mum everything. Everything.
Yeah.
And people will find that weird, but I just do. I have that relationship with my mum. If anything goes on, I tell her immediately. She knows about everything.
Like, I don't really have a massively close relationship with my mum. Like, we are close, and obviously I love my mum to pieces, but a lot of things I don't think I need to go tell my mum like you would.
Yeah, no, some people are like that. Yeah, definitely. I do genuinely believe when we did speak about it the other day and that, it's just your mindset does. It sounds stupid, but the way you perceive life, death, the universe, the meaning of life, why we're here, really has an impact on your mentality. 100%. It might even be subconsciously the way you think about it. It will have an effect on how you go about your days and how you talk to people, associate with people, how you stress about things. Because I've just learnt the more that I've trusted to learn my beliefs, and I've heard stories from my family and that, and learned the way that is for me, that everything happens for a reason, that life isn't that deep, and your mentality shouldn't be either. At the end of the day, you'll separate from your mind one day. Now again, that is just a belief, it's not fact. I do believe when you die, you will let go of all this pain, you'll let go of all the suffering you've experienced, and you'll just feel pure, and you'll learn why you had to feel like that to reap the rewards of it. Sounds crazy, I know it does, but that's how I feel, really.
That's actually a really lovely way to end it, actually.
That is, yeah. I feel like I've touched
Unless
on
you
it
want to talk about some more stuff.
No, I don't really know what to say. Please, I just want to hear feedback off people on whose side you feel like you understand more, if there's any points that we've gone over that you have got a strong argument for, because at the end of the day, I mean, and not argue with me, but just let me understand your side of it, because I just find it interesting for people to challenge my ideas and the way I do perceive things, definitely. And that's what I want with this podcast. As much as we enjoy talking shit with each other, I sort of want people to get involved and challenge our ideas and our opinions and get integrated with it, definitely. Because it's so much to just hear someone talk shit for a long time, and then to actually message after and go, you haven't thought about this, and you think, oh right, okay, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, I quite like people to come forward. I think we've kind of touched on conspiracies a bit. I think at some point we're probably going to do a podcast about conspiracies, because there are certainly things that we do like.
Yeah, definitely.
And if anybody has any interest in conspiracies, then we'd love to hear it, because we will probably do an episode on it at some point. And at the end of the day, it helps support us when people kind of reach out to us. And
yeah, definitely, 100%.
Really.
And as many people will say in the word, if you're ever feeling low or you're feeling down, we'll try and leave some links in the description to the right places to visit, and just don't be afraid to be open about it. It's not a weak thing, it's just a temporary pain.
Drop me a message.
Yeah, drop any of us a message. We're always on our phones. We're losers, really, to be honest, so we will listen to you.
I mean, yeah, I'm back at work now, but I really like it when people, even if it was just someone completely random, I really like that. Like, self-help is the first step of helping it, and you've got to start somewhere.
Yeah, it's hard to admit that there's something wrong with you. And if you talk to someone neutral, I'd like someone random to message me, because I think talking to someone neutral is the better thing to do, really. Because we will give you an honest opinion on how we feel you should go about it. And even sometimes people message me and go, I don't want you to reply, I just need someone to talk to. That's fine. Just message me. Because some people just feel the need to get it out, talk it out, type it out, just so it's at least it's reduced in their minds. Anyone random watching this, just do it. I don't mind, honestly. If you want my opinion on it, if you don't, go
without
for it.
Without getting too much back into it, you know, the support system is pretty shit. Like, I remember like hearing from first hand, like somebody that I know that dealt with it. They have the is it the Samaritans I'm thinking of? You call them for help, and you have to wait 3 to 5 working days for a reply, mental. Which isn't their fault. Absolutely not their fault, and they need more funding. And like they really do need that. And I donate to mental health charities every single month through work, through Mind Charity, because I do really believe that it does need help, and I don't think it should be down to us to fund it, but whatever. But honestly, genuinely, if anybody ever thinks shit, you know, I want to talk to someone, just fucking message us. Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like you said, they can't help it, but when you're in that position where you do feel like you got to contact someone, you can't wait. You're already at that point.
Yeah. And they do often say, actually, I've heard this is really, really good. If you are struggling, you need a bit of a boost. They do say that if you go on YouTube and look at the Shit Chat podcast and you click the subscribe button and like the videos, apparently that really helps with your mental health.
Especially if you press the like button, definitely.
Yeah. You have to really press it. Apparently if you share it with your mates, it really does take it to another level. But, you know, on that, obviously support-wise, you know, we're doing pretty well. If anybody's still watching at this point, it'll literally probably be Jerry, big up Jerry, Matt Taylor, Prem, Alex Boyle. I'll probably be the only 4 people watching at this point.
While you've said that, message to Jerry and Maisie. This ain't never coming off my fucking head. It's staying on. I just want them to know that.
Oh, your hat, yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Anyway, thanks to everyone who's stayed throughout the duration of this episode anyway. Please let us know if you have enjoyed the serious sort of topic version, because a lot of the times, about 70-80% of the episodes are us going to be quite jokey, because that's just how we are naturally. We tend to joke a lot of things off and play everything to humour, but I really want to know if people are interested in this way of approaching the podcast and doing this type of style of talking seriously.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's trial and error in it. I think we need to kind of have a look at it. We do genuinely need people to tell us, because, you know, obviously we do get quite a bit of feedback, but it tends to be from the same people over the last couple of weeks. We do really need people just to let us know what they think. Even if you thought it was really good and you have no criticism, let us know. If there's anything that you think we need to do better, just let us know, because we want to get better at it, and we want this channel to grow quite a bit.
In time, as it grows as well, I feel like we do really want people to integrate in it. We're going to do formats of, if people send us certain topics, we're going to put topics out, and if you send in an opinion, we'll talk on it and have a challenge of it. Questions that you've got for us. We really want to involve people in it and not just have people watch, really just have an insight into the podcast.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, look, obviously at this point I think we're on just under 100 subscribers, like you said earlier. Hopefully by the time this video goes out we should be over 100. I don't see why not at all.
I'm hoping to go back on my phone and see that. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, but like we say, obviously if you've not already subscribed to the channel, like the video, let us know what you think, and we'll see you again next week.
Yeah, see you. Thanks for watching.
Okay, hello, Gimps. Yeah, welcome to.
Sorry, no.
What? What's wrong with that? That was funny, man. That could have been good. We could have edited that really good.